What's going on, my friends? Matt here with Peppercoat Barbecue, and welcome back to the Peppercoat Deck. Today I'm going to be smoking this delicious, or soon to be delicious, rack of St. Louis style ribs. We're going to be adding those umami flavors that we all love. We're going to talk about the prep, the cook, the outcome, and maybe most importantly, what the heck is umami? I just threw in some lump charcoal and a couple of cherry splits, lit those up. I'm using the G3 today by Old Country Barbecue Pits, and it takes the smoker about an hour to come up to temp. So while we're waiting, let's go in the house, prep the ribs, and talk umami. I got my ribs prepped. I did just a light trim and removed the membrane on the back, but now let's talk about this umami flavoring. What is umami? Well, it sounds Asian because umami was actually discovered by a Japanese scientist, but if we translate that into English, it really just means savory. That's it. People just say umami because, you know, it sounds fun. Umami, you know, it's that flavor. It's that deep sensation. It's a savory flavor. It goes along with salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and then the fifth one is umami. You know, it's that flavor you get in your mouth and you go, ooh, umami, this is good. Umami is basically a deep, savory, meaty, or brothy type flavor, something that sticks in your mouth a little longer than sweet or salty. You get those initially, but something that is savory just kind of melts in your mouth. It sticks around for a little while and it keeps bringing you back for that next bite. So to build those flavors in these ribs, there's a few things that we'll be using today. One, everybody's familiar with soy sauce, and that's what I'm going to use today as a binder. Typically do not use binders, but for these Umami Bomb ribs, I'm going to use some soy sauce. The next thing we're going to use today is this. This is Accent, it's MSG. And this is, to me, like the secret ingredient for Asian food, or not just Asian food, but if you're looking for that depth of flavor, that umami flavor, that savory flavor, then yeah, right here you go. Throw a little Accent, a little MSG on there. So instead of salting these today, and by the way, the soy sauce has a lot of salt in it, so you want to go kind of sparingly with this. We're going to use some MSG on each side. And I'm out of gloves, but so the glove police don't get me for barehanding my meat. I'm going to use a paper towel here to turn this over. And then for a little bit of this Asian flair, I'm going with a little ground ginger. Maybe. It's never been opened. Of course, we're going to add a little bit of garlic powder. Almost forgot my old friend here, black pepper. Of course, we're going to put a little bit of black pepper on here. That's all we'll be doing for the seasoning right now, but near the end of the cook, I will be applying this sweet red chili sauce to these, give it just a little more kick, a little of that sweet, and a little bit of that spicy to go along with the savoriness. And then I'm going to chop up some green onions, some scallion, and sprinkle it with a little bit of sesame on top. We just hit 200 degrees, and I know several of you had recommended on the G3 to do like the cold smoke method, and I was actually going to put these on here somewhere between 180 and 200. Just happened to look, it's up to 200, so I'm going to go ahead and put these on now and let that temperature finish coming up. But I have a thicker end here, and I'm going to put this thicker end a little closer to the firebox and my thinner end near my stack. I just threw those ribs on. I'm running halfway here on my intake, and you can see what kind of fire we got going. Still got plenty of wood in here, so I'm not going to add anything right now. We've been hovering around that 225 to 230 mark since right after I put these ribs on, which I know at grate level, that's around 200. So we've been getting that smoke on there for about an hour now, that colder smoke. I haven't added any more wood to this since I started it. This is still just that lump charcoal in those 2 splits. You can see that those have burnt down now. These have been on here for, man, it's been 2 hours since I started this pit. I'm going to go ahead and throw in another cherry split. And while that's getting fired up, we're going to go ahead and spritz these ribs. So to spritz, I have the chicken broth that we talked about. I'll be spritzing with some chicken broth that's really going to bring out that savory or that umami flavor. You see that's really dark. So what I did was I put 6 ounces of chicken broth in here, and then I added 2 ounces of soy sauce. And I just want to give these a good spritz. Make sure that we keep these moist. I do have a water pan in here. We just want to keep plenty of moisture and build flavor. That split lit up really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and close this back down and leave our vents at halfway where we have them. We're 2 hours in now, so I'm going to take another peek at these ribs, give them a little spritz. Looking really nice. This high spot here, you can see the red. It's getting on here, that color. Looking good. I'm going to go ahead and throw in another split. The firebox in this G3 is extremely hot. There is so much heat retention in there. Shouldn't take the split, but just a minute to light up. So we're 3 hours into the cook now. I'm going to see what the ribs are looking like. I really went into this with no surefire plan of whether I was going to wrap or not. Typically around 3 hours, 3.5 is when I'll wrap. But I just kind of like to go by the look, the color, and the bark. And I don't know why I had not pulled this rack out earlier when I was spritzing this, but you can see this color we're getting on here. Beautiful color. Nice red mahogany. That's starting to render out a little bit here on the top. Bark is set really nicely. So I don't really cook ribs to temp, but since I'm using the S1 hub today from Chef's Temp, I wanted to try out their new instant read thermometer they sent me. This is the Final Touch X10, and it's showing about 180 over here in the fatty end, and then surprisingly only about 160, 150s. Well, much cooler over here in the thin end. So my 167 there, maybe I was hitting the bone here, but a little cooler over here on the thin end than the fat end. But I'm going to get this wrapped and bring it right back. When I wrapped these in the butcher paper, I sprayed a little more of our spritz mixture with the chicken broth and the soy sauce in here, just to kind of wet it down a little bit, wrapped it up with the butcher paper. And now I'm just going to put these back in here on the top rack now because, of course, we get a little more heat on the top rack. And I want to heat these up maybe 300, 325 or something. Render out just a little more of that fat in there, break it down, get them nice and tender before we take them out and sauce them. You can see we don't have a lot left here in the firebox. So far on this cook, all we've burned was the lump charcoal and 3 cherry splits. So I'm throwing the 4th one in here now. Probably open up the vents just a little more. Maybe open up my stack just a little more, again, just to kind of get that heat bumping up to that 325 mark. It's been about 1 hour and 15 minutes. We got the pit up to around 300. Actually, I think like 307 or something is what it came up to. And so I want to check these now. They're feeling really good. All right, I wanted to move the camera, get you a little closer. You can see what I'm seeing here. Look at these bones. I mean, they are just ready to pop out here on the back side. See what the front side looks like. Beautiful color on there. So we're going to get these down here and start to baste them. I've been basting these ribs a couple of times over the last 30 minutes or so. Are you ready to see them? I'm telling you, they look good. Are you sure you're ready? Check that out. These things look and smell fabulous. If they are half as good as they look, then we'll definitely be screaming umami. I'm going to get these off, get them in the house, get a little garnish, that green onion and some sesame seed on there, and then we'll see what we got. These ribs turned out insane. So I brought them in here. I got the green onions and the sesame seed on top, put it on a little bit of rice. The bone pullback on these are ridiculous. This is, to me, this is what a St. Louis style rib should look like when it's cooked, no matter what kind of flavoring you put on it. But now we want to try these umami ribs and see if we got what we were going for. I almost hate to mess up all of my artsy stuff here. Oh man, beautiful. You can see this color in here. Check this out. Oh yeah, beautiful color. And this is kind of in the middle or the thinner part, but you can see that it's still nice and juicy. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, it's just pulling right off of the bone. Look at that. There's really nothing holding that bone there. Beautiful. That's a lot of flavor going on there. So, first off, let me say, putting these on that smoker a little earlier, around 200, and letting that temperature slowly come up throughout the cook, that really changed the smoke profile of these. So if you're using the G3, I would recommend that you do that. It does have a lot more smoke on it. Actually, believe it or not, I can pick up a little bit on that chicken broth that we used to spritz this with. Yeah, I mean, it's just got a little bit of that brothy flavor. What we'd call that umami, a little umami flavoring. It's got the sweet and the spicy from the red chili sauce that's on it, but it's not overpowering. And I'm telling you, this is a really good rib. I love barbecue ribs, but man, this is going to be right up there with my new favorites. So check it out. Make you some umami ribs. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I'll see you next time on Peppercoat Barbecue.